Welcome back to Patman Garage. Well, after careful consideration and reading the circuit board and doing some minor testing, I've decided that we can cut the circuit board in half right across in here, and then we're going to be left with just the arrow pads and the OK button and the connector, and everything will work still for what I need. And then this was all 2015 I believe cruise control buttons down here, so that can all go away. So we'll get this cut up real quick and start figuring out how we're going to install it in the truck. There we have it. So I can do another quick test, put it in the truck and turn the key on and make sure everything's still working real quick, and then we can build the switch back up. So here we are back in the truck. We can get this plugged in. So I got that sitting there, and we'll put turn our key back on. We can press our buttons, and we can see that everything's still working like it should. So we can still cycle through and get in and out of the menus. So we are ready to rock. So then I can build the housing back up, which is the front part that actually has the buttons on it that'll cover up over the blue, and then we can work on figuring out how my goal is to get my steering wheel column cover the switch plate. I'm probably going to mount it somewhere. I have some old electric fan switches here. I may go here. It's not perfect, but it turned out pretty cool. I still need to glue it in place, but you know, it's gonna work out just the way I wanted it. So it's tight squeeze back in here behind it, but it'll I should still have room to squeeze my two fan switches back up here on the top side. So I'm gonna get to epoxying that dude in place, and then we'll be ready to start hiding some more wires. Well, here's the fun I've got going on now. So I went ahead and pulled my, you saw the mounting of the, what I'm gonna call the D-pad, the steering wheel switches that are gonna go in here, up in here. So I had originally temporarily, this is what's left of the steering column control module and the clock spring combined into one unit. It's still ugly as hell, but you know, it's gonna work. So I had originally extended the harness, and it was tucked up in the hole of the radio just for temporary thing. So what I've done is I've pulled out the wire that I confirmed I don't need, that I had extended. So we're just going to put that pigtail back on there just in case we need it later, and get that taped up in place. And then I'm going to get the module located up into the car, up inside the dash. And then this is my steering wheel harness, which goes between the steering wheel control module, well actually between the clock spring and the steering wheel buttons. So I need to extend this harness as well. So this guy is going to live up under the dash, and then this harness is going to go from here up to my D-pad buttons. So I'm going to make this quick connection real quick, and I can work on tucking some of this back up, and then I'll work on extending this harness out. So we're going to talk about the game plan on how we're going to extend this harness. So one of those things, little tricks that'll set you apart from an average do-it-yourselfer type of guy. You know, we need to add, there's a total of 7 wires we need to extend, and a lot of people would just cut right in the middle and solder, you know, however long extension you need there. Well, that ends up where you have this big ball on your harness of all of the splices in one place. And the downside to that is if your insulation rubs, or maybe you had one little wire poking out on one side, one little wire poking out of another one, if they're all rubbing together, you're more likely to have chafing and shorting out on each other. So what I do is cut what I call staggered splicing. So I cut, let's say I'll cut my yellow one first. I'll cut it up here, and then I'll go about an inch down, and I'll go about an inch down, I'll cut the next one, and then so on and so forth. And that'll allow you to extend your harnesses, but also have your splices where they're not all together in one place. So once I get a little bit further into it, I'll show you kind of my game plan here. So in this clip, I'm showing you how I like to set up my wires for soldering. So I split the strands approximately in half, and then I will put the two forks facing each other and go put the two forks into each other, and then I'll start to twist the strands around the outside of the wire. And what this does is this effectively holds the joint in place and allows you to get solder in there without having the two sections of wires come apart. So it makes a really strong, nice joint without having any solder on it, and then the solder will just provide electrical connection in the middle. So we don't want to forget our heat shrink, and as you can see, that was kind of how we hold the wires together snugly without having a tool. And so it just allows you to get a good solid connection there before you solder it, and that way it's staying in place. I can actually lift up on it. So my next one I'm going to cut is, I'm just going to pick randomly as blue. So what I'll do is I'll lay my wiring out like this, and I'll pick my next blue wire here, and I'll make sure that I cut just past where the end of this heat shrink is, and that'll move my splice a little bit further down, so about right where my finger is there. I'll make that cut. We'll get to soldering the next one. So the rat's nest is complete, and as you can see, staggered splicing, not perfect, but you get the concept here. So they're kind of in different spots along the way down. So I'm going to get some split loom put on this, and we will be ready to put it in the truck. So there we have it. We've successfully extended our harness. It's now about 6 foot long. So I can plug this guy back into my D-pad on the dash, and then this guy will go up behind the dash. So we'll get that wire run and ready to put the dash back in it. Well, I got everything on the top end put back together, so we'll do a quick test to make sure everything is working right. Cool. So cycling through all the menus, everything's working right like it should. So now the last thing to do is going to be hiding the steering control module. It's down there at my feet. It's nice that I finally don't have the harness and everything sitting up here, so we're on our way to being done with it.